This is the Grand River, and if you didn't know, it's the longest river in Michigan, spanning over 252 miles, all the way to Lake Michigan. And with most big rivers, there's occasionally an island in the middle of the river, like this one, which I just so happened to be attempting to spend the night on. But before I do this, I need a plan. First things first, I need to get something that I can sleep on because I don't want to sleep right on the forest floor. I went into the garage looking for an old inflatable raft that I could use, and eventually I found this one. I was a little hesitant though because I didn't know if it could hold that much air because I feel like this raft is older than me. So that's why you see me testing it out a little bit right here.
Okay, so surprisingly this is actually holding air, so I think I'm just going to use this.
Next step is to gather all my miscellaneous supplies. Now that I have all this taken care of, I'm gonna have to steal a kayak. What I mean by this is I like to walk in the woods a lot, and sometimes I go off trail, and one day I just happened to come across this kayak riding away in the woods. Like, it looks like no one has touched the thing in a full decade. So I just want to pick it up, put it in the river, float to the island because there's no way this raft could support all my weight. The only catch is it's right by a boathouse that I row at, and the only way for me to get it is to walk right behind the boathouse because everything else around it is just kind of the swamp area. But lucky for me, we just had a regatta, so that means we won't have practice, then I am planning on doing this, so problem solved. Until I got this email. I wasn't gonna let it stop me though, because the email said it would only take 30 minutes max, so if all goes according to plan, everyone should be out of there within 40 minutes or so. So here's my very overcomplicated plan. I'll show up at 5, do all the trailer unloading, at 5:30 I'll leave, drive back to the lot that's near the boathouse, drop my raft off there. I can't park here because it's technically like a private lot on the weekdays, so once I drop my raft off there, I'll drive to another private-ish location lot behind a building, then walk from here all the way to the boathouse, which is about a mile away, and everyone should be gone by the time I get back. Okay, so I just dropped the raft off. There's still people in the spot that I'm hoping to go in, which is really annoying, but I just have to deal with it. The hardest part is just going to be getting to the island. It's not that it's that far, it's just that the water's cold. I don't want to get in it. Okay, I'm almost to the spot. Anytime before any of these challenges start, my nerves always just go crazy. I really don't want to do this. It's going to be cold, it's going to be miserable, it's going to be wet. But I have to do it. Because it might be kind of miserable right now, but if I don't do this, today will just be like any other day. That's one of the reasons why I try doing these challenges, just because.
Grammar.
It gets me out of my comfort zone. It's something different. It's not the same rinse, wash, and repeat day cycle. And when I finally got back, I realized that one of the crews decided to have their own private practice. And this really just threw a big fat wrench in my plans. I still got my raft just so that I could have all my supplies with me. And after about 30 minutes of waiting, I just decided to forget about the kayak and just try to float out with the raft. It was at this moment I realized I'm gonna need that kayak. I did purposely decide to do this when it was cooler outside so I wouldn't have to deal with being eaten alive by bugs. The only bad thing about doing it when it's cold is, well, it's cold. Okay, so it's currently 7:18, and as you can see, I'm still not on the island, which is very, very, very frustrating. So since I needed that kayak, I just did what any logical person would do and hide in the bushes and wait for them to leave, which took a full hour and 10 minutes. Once they finally left, I wasted no time in getting out there. I first brought all my stuff onto the dock, then went up to the boathouse, grabbed the kayak, then pretty much just threw it into the river, hopped on it. I didn't even care if the thing was going to sink. I had to get out there. I grabbed a stick to paddle with because I obviously didn't have a paddle. The stick worked fine, got all my stuff. This is actually working. This kayak isn't sinking, and we're almost to the island. I was planning on entering the island right here because it was the most open in terms of it wasn't just a bunch of overgrown plants and grass, but I had to use the bathroom, so I just stopped around here to mark my territory. After that, I made it to the spot where I wanted to go, unloaded my stuff, and began to explore, and my mood started to change drastically. Okay, so I just reached the south end of the island. That is where I started, right there. The distance really isn't even that far, but it was just so much overgrown plants and grass I had to walk through and sticks and everything.
Now, I think I'm gonna choose that one spot by the beach. I think that's where I'm sleeping. I still have to explore the north end. I'm gonna get my sleeping bag and pull that kayak up a little further just so it doesn't float away. Well, I guess I wasn't the only one here. There's bottles and stuff right here. Okay, good news. Sleeping bag, raft, kayak, all still here. So guys, guess what? I just walked all the way here just to realize I didn't even have the floating thing with me. Like, I picked it up, was prepared to walk with it, set it down for a second, and then I just kept walking. That's kind of sad. So now I get to walk all the way back and then walk all the way back here. It's really annoying.
Once I did that, I just took a minute to sit down, take a breather, because I've been running around for the past 5 hours trying to get everything set up. So to sit here for a couple minutes was honestly very relaxing. Also, I set up these battery operated lights, and this was probably the best $14 I've ever spent in my whole life, because it just gave such a cool little vibe to the spot. All was going good until I heard this strange splash sound from the river.
What the fuck was that?
But eventually I just summed it up to nature doing its thing.
Little did I know, there's a guy sleeping on this island. Okay guys, just set up my bed. Like 30 seconds ago I was feeling super comfortable, but then I saw my first bug. It was a little reminder that I am sleeping on the forest floor. As you can see, I just put a winter jacket on. Surprisingly, I haven't really even been that cold. I was super worried going out here. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm gonna be freezing my butt off, but I've been moving around so much and I've just been so angry, and I've just had a whole roller coaster of emotions for the past like 2 hours, so the coldness hasn't really got to me, but when I'm on the raft I will probably be shivering, so this winter jacket is just another way to keep me warm. So for the next hour or so, I think I'm just gonna try to find some way to fall asleep and just enjoy the night sky.
When I woke up, I enjoyed the morning ambience, had a Pop-Tart, and eventually started packing up and making sure everything was put back the way it was. You may remember me mentioning it earlier in the video about how once I got to the island, I got in a much better mood.
I said this because prior to getting on the island, I just viewed this as more as a challenge and a chore than a fun experience. But once I stepped foot on the island and started exploring around, I forgot this was even a challenge.
And in some way, this whole experience felt like a mini vacation in the middle of a normal routine week. So overall, I'm happy I did this, and don't worry, I did return the kayak back just the way I found it, laying in a swamp and the forest land.